for us in this Game 2 draft, CCNC? Anything?
DC's turn to pitch.
My mic is muted.
All
Oops,
right,
sorry.
welcome back. No worries, it's okay. Just,
The
you know,
Dire
I
team
was just
pick.
left hung and dry and I look like, you know, an awkward loser, but go on.
Apologies for the accuracy. Uh-oh.
Fair enough, fair enough.
There's not gonna be any Dazzle Ursa. They taken the Dazzle first pick like
10
every single
seconds
time,
remaining.
and DC realizing like how much they value that hero and how farmed Rose gets on it,
5
just taking it
seconds
out.
remaining.
And then Ursa, another one of AOI's favorite heroes.
Dire team pick.
So the Naga being left in the pool here, that's
DC's
typically
turn
first
to
phase
pick.
ban versus both these teams. NP not choosing to go for it, but they do ban out the Coddle, which one of the better heroes to pair with the Naga,
Yeah.
and the Ember, just overall a good hero. And they go for this Bane Leshrac. NP one of the only
10
teams that will go for this
seconds
Bane
remaining.
first phase, and then Lesh obviously pairs well with it, the stun, and a nice
5
another
seconds
Rose hero that
remaining.
allows him to farm and get up a lot of items, which is something he likes to do on the 4 roll.
Reserve time.
Yeah, it's so funny. The first time I saw Bane actually pop up in this qualifier was actually in the hands of DC about a week ago, it looks like, in their matchup against Freedom. Misery did pull it out for himself. They had it in a pairing with Mirana and also a Slardar, and of course, the Lone Druid was in that game. But ever since then, you're right, it's been something that MP have been kind of favoring. I don't know if they kind of saw that matchup and were inspired, or have also been kind of running it through scrims. Whatever the case may be, here it is and now, and a nice little pairing with Lesh too. The sleep stun setup is very, very nice, and will obviously create an interesting situation when DC have to come to deciding on late game cores, because Bane of course has that way to kind of pierce that BKB. Could be a bit intriguing there for DC, but there's something like the Weaver, let's say, still out there, works together with the Slardar,
10
and is a
seconds
typical
remaining.
Lincoln candidate. Maybe an option here for DC, but in the
5
meantime,
seconds
we're going to be in
remaining.
store for the Misery Chen. A very good Chen, too.
Yeah, we don't see
Reserve
Chen a
time.
whole lot. DC does play it from time to time. They'll go for like the Chen, and they'll go for like this early push stuff, and they'll just kind of try and run you over super early on. A lot of times they'll do it with the Lono, so I'm curious to see if NP bans that out or if they say it's fine, you can have it. Um, had some pretty sizable nerfs. The Night Vision one is pretty significant because it was just impossible to gank that hero before because you just skill your E button and then you have full night vision for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be the extinction of her or not. Moving into the second phase here, MP looking to rid of the table. Probably a couple of the potential maybe mid lane Weehaw options, we'll say. Chen coming up here. I want to see. Because you're right, we don't get to see it very often. Certainly in American qualifiers or American games, Chen is a very, very rare pick already to begin with. But again, DC happy to pull
DC's
it out.
turn to
It's
ban.
funny because in that same series with Freedom that they had the Bane was also the series where we seen a Misery Chen.
Dire
And the only
team
time they
ban.
pulled it out in this qualifier. Uh, Interestingly enough, in that game they paired it together with a Shadow Demon Luna. So we'll have to see if it's something they want to kind of, look out for in their own draft again. Meepo gonna get the ban.
DC's turn to ban.
All right, one of the better heroes, or just a good hero versus Bane. Leshrac as well. He does have some AOE damage, but kind of gets killed like instantly, and not particularly good at playing from behind as
10
well. So people
seconds
gets like super
remaining.
far online, gets the Aegis, and then kind of just jumps in and kills both your supports instantly.
5
You could have
seconds
some
remaining.
issues, and also just an obnoxious hero to play against if there's someone that knows how to play, which we obviously does.
Yeah, I
Reserve
mean,
time.
he's one of the best Meepo players, that's for sure. And MP obviously have pulled it out themselves and recognized its potential. It will be taken away along with the Weehaw Shadow Fiend here. Still lots of formidable options out there for Weehaw here moving into the next phase, but DC seem to be targeting um, what looks like
Dire
MSS a
team
bit, and then
pick.
getting rid of the Lycan too, which is also a popular pickup we saw yesterday, but did not really see the light of day yet today, and doesn't look like it will be seen this game either. I think you got to touch a little bit on the Lycan, I don't remember, but I would be curious, can you just like refresh us a bit?
10
Lycan
seconds
was
remaining.
recently added into Captain's Mode because of 7.02.
5
I think we saw
seconds
one of his
remaining.
first matches in the hands of Matama Man and Liquid, and he found a lot of success there. Overall seems to be more in fighting, but is this going to
DC's
be
turn to
like
pick.
a popular pick moving forward? Like, could we see Lycan be a top pick in the Kiev Major time?
Yeah, I think this hero is quite viable now. It can be a little weird picking him because if you don't have the strongest, supports, or they have a really
10
strong dual lane, the
seconds
hero can get
remaining.
punished really easily, and he's not the greatest laner in the world. If
5
that hero
seconds
falls behind,
remaining.
he doesn't really do too much. But in some drafts, definitely can
Reserve
be
time.
extremely effective for sure.
Looks like since then MP go for one of their favored pickups. They get the Mirana. What's more than likely going to be what looks like a support pairing of Bane and Leshrac, but we've always known Mirana and Bane to be a good pairing in that in itself, just with the sleep and the arrow setup. Does kind of, reveal a small hand in that case that it is going to be Envy Mirana. And of course, obviously, it's nice to have an arrow to take down a pesky Chen creep from time to time. But I would say Mirana does have her share of tough times and tough matches in the mid lane. So I wonder if
Dire team
DC are going to
pick.
look to kind of take full advantage of that or not. It looks like what they may be considering here, a pickup with the Vengeful Spirit, another Aura, and maybe some ways to kind of build around a more serious 5-man.
Yeah, typically Resolution playing
10
on the
seconds
Venge whenever they
remaining.
pick it up. I think they have run it on Sox from time to time, but it's not the most common
5
thing in the world.
seconds remaining.
This Mirana, if she falls behind, can have some serious issues
Reserve
versus these
time.
Chen lineups. I don't know if Misery goes for the mech that often. I think typically he'll go for like the Aghanims first, get up the golems, and use the creeps to split push lanes. A lot of times you can kind of drag around the map, sort of play that Lil style of Chen. I think is the more popular style whenever he does get picked up nowadays.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think NP's heroes, they have very very strong rotations. Obviously a lot of burst, but I think if they fall behind early on, they will have some issues versus this 5-man of DC. Obviously a lot of physical damage between the Venge and the Slardar. The Chen can help secure their lanes a little bit. So see what MP. A lot of time, only 15 seconds left.
In a previous matchup,
10
DC, when they
seconds
had a pretty
remaining.
similar lineup, I believe also with the Chen and Venge Core.
5
Uh,
seconds remaining.
Oh no, that must have not been a Venge Core because that would answer my own question. They did a Lone Druid in that game.
DC's turn to
But what do you
pick.
think? Axe is now going to be coming out from MP, so it looks like an MSS Axe, but I'm curious to see if DC do settle in on that core Rezo Vengeful Spirit, or if they want to swap it over to Saxa and get something like a Lone Druid, let's say, for
10
DC or
seconds
not. I'm not sure how
remaining.
much value they still have in the hero. Meander has it as his avatar, so it's got to
5
be still kind
seconds
of cool.
remaining.
Is that Lone Druid?
Looks like it from here. That is definitely Lone Druid.
Reserve time.
He's been very bitter about Lone Druid. Haven't you ever seen his Twitter? I mean, he gives a lot of grief to Bulba because, I guess Bulba makes his
One's picture
team.
is not a Lone Druid. It's some dude in like a sweater vest.
Moon
It's like
Meander?
it's
Moon
like,
Meander,
it's
right?
like
Are you
yeah,
serious?
it's like red and yellow.
Maybe you're looking at a different avatar than me.
I'm looking at his profile right now.
Very bottom, orange color, Moon Meander. At least on the
Yeah,
draft screen, that's a Lone Druid.
It's a white background with some like dude's face
Oh,
like
10
smirking.
seconds
You're seeing
remaining.
something different than me then, that's for sure.
Yeah, because I don't
5
see a Lone Druid
seconds
for sure.
remaining.
Alright. That's weird. Alright, well, probably something with the ticketing and how it assigns to the player. Since then, though, DC could grab up the Invoker here
DC's
for
turn to ban.
Weehaw. So, thoughts on the Invoker versus Mirana matchup in the mid lane? Not one we see
DC's
too
turn to
often,
pick.
whereas, Mirana's very hot and cold as far as being in the mid lane.
If you get a good start on the Mirana, you can do just fine. The first couple of waves are pretty Mirana favorites. You can drag the aggro around or the range creeps, and then
10
just try and harass
seconds
the Invoker
remaining.
down with your superior animation early. But as the lane goes later and later, the Invoker will
5
take control.
seconds
But
remaining.
it gets to a point where the Mirana just spams out the wave, does what she can while the Invoker last hits. But they go for the
Dire
Beastmaster
team
last
pick.
pick, so adds to their push.
Oh, yeah.
Almost definitely going to be a Quas Exort Invoker this game, so you're going to have the Sunstrike combo with the Roar across the map, and they have a whole lot of potential to group up early on, but also a lot of pickup potential if the game does slow
10
down a little bit and NP
seconds
tries to split the lanes. Now Mirana typically a pretty slippery hero
5
once she gets the
seconds
Ags and the Blink
remaining.
online, but DC have a lot of answers for that this game as far as catch goes. But NP go for the Terrorblade.
Oh, okay. I wonder what that
Very-
means. Is Envy going to take this again to the mid lane in a matchup against the Invoker and then have Aoi take the Mirana elsewhere to the safe lane? Or do you still feel like the Mirana should be the one to head to the mid lane against the Invoker. I mean, we already saw Envy do serious work in the mid lane earlier, but it was with a different opponent.
I think Envy almost always. I don't think I've ever seen AUI play the Mirana.
Yeah.
So they can most probably be a safe lane Terrorblade. Um, he's very, very good, obviously, versus all this physical damage versus Slaughter, Venge, Beastmaster. Even the Chen, a lot of the creeps, right-clicking in doesn't do much to the Terrorblade. But as the
10
game goes later and
seconds
later,
remaining.
it just does terribly versus Invoker.
5
Terribly.
seconds remaining.
Hey,
I like what you did there, sir. But late game doesn't fare too well against the Invoker. That's the serious point you were trying to make.
Yeah, with the deafening blast, he can get bursted down really easily if they they combo up the roar and the crush with the meteor. Sunstrike just overall has a lot of burst and a lot of AoE control the Terrorblade illusions do not fare well against.
And off we go here. I love how this has quickly turned into its own minigame in meta. The race to TP, head out, and get the most viable wards down you need for these particular lane setups. They find each other, they race, they get the set down there. Can't not see where he placed the initial ward. Did he even get one down? We are going to be going to a pause as there was a bug. It does not look like Rose was able to get something down. So both the wards from DC actually going to be in the bottom lane here. I guess, you know, it does mean Moon Meander is going to be kind of on his own for the sake of vision, but it does look like MP have also planted their own ward to kind of scout out the side camp that, you know, your Beastmaster would typically like to farm. Seems a bit scary for Moon in that lane, Quinn.
Yeah, he did buy laning items though for the Tango Solve and Salt, so he's gonna start in the lane early on, and buy some time for the Invoker. Something that Moon back when he was on OG would do almost every game back when Iron Talon was super prevalent and people would go for it. You know, basically every game, almost nobody ever went to lane. Moon was like the only offlaner who would go to lane, and he'd just stay there and he'd try his best not to die, harass them, drag the creeps around, just be a pain and buy time for his mid. Especially when they have these roaming supports like the Bane and the Leshrac. Invoker super susceptible to that and is gonna try and buy him some time. Has the Iron Talon queued up, so get as much as he can in lane until his regen runs out or it becomes too dangerous. Then go back and farm after he's bought his Invoker some time.
And in his matchup, he's going to be going against not an easy one either. If it is going to be this, what looks like the Bane plus Axe. Bane already known to be a pretty damn good support as far as, you know, zoning back offlaners in the lane. Has the benefit of, you know, a sleep if things get too hairy, or of course the ridiculous pure damage of a Brain Sap to be able to kind of just swing around the life. And with it being pure damage, it's just a super hard-hitting nuke early on. Looks like, yeah, Envy is going to be repping the Mirana towards the mid lane here. Rose on his Lesh, who always seems to be very proactive in the game on his support Leshrac. Very mobile. He already has a freaking Windlace even. Just kind of, you know, really up his mileage. And then finally it looks like, yeah, bottom lane. Oh, bottom lane for now. Owie on his Terrorblade. So is this going to be the commitment? Are they going to roll Owie in like a half kind of aggro setup between just him and Rose's Lesh?
Yeah, the Bane may migrate down here. He had TP'd in smoke to get the ward up to see if the Beastmaster is jungling or not, or if they're making rotations up to this top lane, and now is probably gonna migrate down to bottom.
Oh, okay.
Give the Axe a 1v1, does very well versus the Beastmaster in the 1v1, and then they can try and punish this Venge. Venge Slardar, not really the strongest of dual lanes. They have pretty greedy supports early on, and NP gonna try and take advantage of that, and they have the potential to even win all 3 lanes here if this tri lane goes well, and mid lane will probably break even, but NP have the potential to roam in and maybe get some kills on the Invokers. So if the lanes do set up like this, where it's this tri lane versus just the dual lane of Saksa and Resolution with the 1v1 up top, then I think NP will be very happy with how the lanes are set up.
Is there any audible or some way that DC can kind of try to rotate and accommodate for the aggro lane coming out from MP? I know we already have Misery who has to like rummage his way through the jungle, and I don't know what kind of path he's certain to be set on. Maybe it's him that kind of needs to help make the impression to kind of even things out in the bottom lane. Essentially, is there anything DC can kind of do to prepare for this or react to it once they see the lanes happen?
Yeah, I think you may look for some like, Satyr maybe, or just a strong battling creep and run it to this offlane and be almost like hop out in the lane a little bit, look for a kill. With Saksa, who is firing out a salve now, so we can have a little bit more regen. But yeah, I think he's definitely gonna have to help out this bottom
30
lane. I
seconds
don't think
to
this is a
battle.
game where you can sacrifice, just all of your lanes. Doesn't really have a ton of kill potential on mid, and can't really help out top. So it's either gonna be turbo farming or gonna help out bottom. Um, with Misery, we'll have to see what he goes for. But this bottom lane could be pretty rough, as they do have quite a bit of kill potential between the reflection,
Oh yeah.
and the sleep stun.
Yeah, the sleep stun is one to be feared
The
here.
battle
Vengeful Spirit has
begins.
decent range to work with, but overall kind of values her positioning in the lane. And Saksa, I mean, I don't think the Slaughter is going to really do a whole lot to kind of zone them back. He's going to find himself out-muscled real quick. And then we look to DC to see how they're going to try to respond to it here. And the mid laners beginning to crash. It looks like Weehaw favored in his block. Kind of gets the high ground leverage to kind of go into the first wave. Envy has the arrow. He could just go for taking out the range creep right away, and he will. Has that kind of a benefit. Envy loves his range creeps. We saw a highlight not long ago. He would be happy to hand over his own life if it meant denying the range creep. But here we already see, I mean, MP have taken over the bottom lane. Resolution's like, guys, oh, okay, what am I going to do? So he has to just wait for the wave to move on forward, but something will have to be done. Otherwise, this man is going to be left starving a little bit early on.
Yep, Sox are trying to stack this camp up, but actually, no, actually blocking it. So was pulling it, trying to get it to aggro their wave. It looks like, and then NP trying to stack it, and him, body blocking it. It's kind of some shenanigans with the camp going on. But yeah, Resolution's gonna have a really rough time down here. Until we see Misery coming down with the Hellbear. So I was looking for either a Hellbear or a Satyr or something like that. It's gonna come down and try and harass these NP supports off, and buy Resolution a little bit of space.
Let's see if he can get the assistance necessary for DC to kind of try to hold their own in this laning phase before they get kind of swallowed up. Here comes our little tomato friend. SVG sees it after doing the brain sap and might try to back up and away. And this will kind of even things out a bit. I want to quickly scope at this top lane here. It looks like MSS has kind of been able to open things up. And this advantage matchup he has against Moon and his Beastmaster, he's at 10 CS. Moon will now have under the tower to work with, but this is going to be a pretty nice start for the Axe. Okay, here we go. Crush, Missile, looking to go for the weak Lesh. They'll get it done. Misery going to be picking up the first blood, then drops down the net. A follow-up support takedown, a double kill for Misery. Owie, he's moving in. He wants a Metamorphosis kill. He's not going to be able to get it. Misery hides within the trees, pops his salve, and makes it out. Swing and a miss on the stun from Rose. MP will return back to the lane, but they take a good hard shot. And that is unfortunate. Setting up this aggro lane, you're hoping to be the team that's kind of taking it to DC, but here they're going to be the ones handing over not one but 2 kills.
Yeah, that was super nice play for Misery. Going in with the Hellbear, throwing out the clap, and then backing it up. It was about to die, juked the stun, and then kind of baited them in, denied the creep so they didn't get the last hit or the XP, and then grabbed that extra troll with Saksa coming in, getting the 2-man stun, and they clean up both kills. So really nice play early on, and it's gonna buy them a little bit of space and time. Now picking up the Penitence, so having that extra bonus damage and movement speed slow if they try and go for another kill as he gets an Immiser and comes strolling in.
And all the meanwhile, the troll here, I don't know if he's been sharing control or what, but the troll's also being very annoying, like messing with the pulls, now dishes out the net. Misery just confidently sitting there. Now takes in the Hellbear. He's like, oh, that's mine, that's mine now. And it's getting a bit awkward for MP in this laning stage. Now the supports are trying to make the best out of that side camp, but not trying to be too close to take away all the XP from Owie. So they're kind of in that awkward spot. Back at mid lane, let's see how Envy's been doing here. 16-7 to Weehaw's 12-2. As we see arrowing and still taking out the catapult.
Radiant's top tower
Making the
is
most out of the
under
laning
attack.
phase. And MSS still the big breadwinner in CS. 22 CS. Moon, though, right behind him at 18. Both off-laners in a nice win-win situation.
Yeah, a lot of those are jungle creeps from Moon though. Had retreated back to the jungle a couple of times and used his shrine up there. At least having the luxury of that, but MSS actually gonna be going for the Vanguard first, as he is having such an amazing start. And that's one of the other big advantages of NP having this laning stage set up this way is MSS has the luxury of going for that Vanguard first. You know, something that a lot of axes like to do whenever they get this nice 1v1 melee versus melee in a safe lane. I think it's just going to start cutting the waves. Doesn't want to go too far in because people can TP rotate. But
Bottom lane here, an approach from Misery now that he has 2 of the Hellbear Smashers. Almost able to get the jump onto SVG. And as we saw, an unfortunate Sunstrike will miss its mark. MP will avoid the trouble, but it's still DC kind of dictating and being assertive in the bottom lane when they're the ones going into this aggro lane setup. So Resolution will begin to slowly crawl himself back with the CS and get closer to even where Owie is. Meanwhile, MP now stepping away from this bottom lane. Their support duo, Lesh and Bane, now smoke and roll towards this mid lane. A potential setup on for Weak. Can they leap the sleep? Yes, they will. Then, oh, they did it taken off right there with the Forge creep. Not going to be enough, though. They're able to move in and finish them off with the help of the Starstorm coming out from Envy. That will secure it.
yeah, it was a nice attempt, but just a half second too late. Barely clips him with the edge of the stun. Now the Invoker going down as well. So, like we talked about, NP basically winning all 3 lanes bottom ends up being sort of a wash after some nice rotations for Misery, and Resolution about on par with AUI's CS. But this mid lane and top lane really not going how you want them to if you're a DC fan.
Yeah. Well, DC changed things up a bit for themselves. They've left Resolution in that one-on-one in the bottom lane. And now Misery and Soxa both get to the side of Moon here. Moon has that level 6. He has that roar. He's looking to land it. Boom! Yells right at MSS. There's the Sunstrike. Should be more than enough to be able to get the job done. But MSS gets the call off. Almost gets a few extra spins. The dunk gets the kill on Moon. And this man's walking away into the Moonlight Shadow. Woohoo! Barely avoids the Hadouken there. How the hell did he walk away and live with that? He's gone. Soxa narrowly avoids getting slept and set up there from SVG. MSS is back. He actually spots out Misery, it looks like, here, hiding within the trees. A new Sunstrike, also going to miss the mark. Just behind the Bane. They make the approach for Misery. They hit him with the Starfall, and that's going to be plenty. He goes out. A series of some unfortunate stuff there for DC. Means that rotation gank and that roar debut just all come up without any sort of serious bloodshed.
Yeah, they didn't have any sentries, and EE had just hit 6 a little bit ago. Gets the Moonlight Shadow at level 6. A lot of players will go for the second point and leap, thinking, I'm not really going to use it this early on, but picks it up and uses it immediately, and saving MSS there, getting a little greedy with the call, thinking he could turn around, and does actually. So a really nice read from MSS, but in the meanwhile, AOI does go down bottom, so Resolution.
Yeah, I caught the
Gonna get
good
that,
action there.
that
Just
illegal.
Soxa able to find a new rotation there to the bottom with the setup from the Crush after he sprints in. A Sunstrike will be there from Weehan. Obviously with Resolution already at attendance, it was more than enough to get the finish. Now we're at an even game as far as kills, 3-3. And Misery so close to getting that courier, it looked like. Will settle with residing inside the jungle, planting down a nice deep ward, and will begin his jungle work from here. As he does need to spend a little bit of that me time. He's level 4, and we're getting about 8 minutes in. It's time to start building up, getting that hand of God ready to go. Getting some extra farm. Uh-oh, could find himself in trouble. Woo! Able to backpedal a bit. Loses one of his creeps. Tries to slow them down. Oh, Rose is not able to get the connection there with the stun, so Misery will be able to walk out. What's happening in the top lane here? Soxa's rolling in. Owie showed up while MSS is still here. But it looks like things will fizzle out. Nothing will really end up coming of it. Arrow! Whoa! Connection from Envy onto Moon by the tower means that MSS can walk in, get the call, get the dunk. Nice shot there.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
That'll allow them to get to tier 1.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Yeah, and then MSS immediately TPing mid afterwards, so making sure this tower doesn't go down. Doesn't really want to go down to bottom, as if he pushes, you can't really push super far up, or he'll risk dying, unless he has a hero with him. So Mage trying off as it comes off cooldown in 50 seconds, but probably going to continue jungling and working towards that Blink Dagger as they get the tower up top. So a really nice rotation from EE in these lanes, going extremely well for NP. And this Axe is really just uncontestable at this point. It's extremely hard for them to do anything to him until Sox is level 6. They just don't have the damage. As Moon gonna be going for that Vlad's like we talked about, not going for the traditional Necro Book. I've seen a lot more of this build recently, as it just gives you even more split push, gives you some damage from the Vlad's aura onto the boars.
Yeah.
And overall, it's just a nice aura for fighting.
Radiant's
Works well
middle
with
tower is
the
under
Venge and
attack.
Slaughter as well, buffing up that's just the AOE physical damage.
Yeah, their team is just mega auras for sure. Vlad's is only going to help stack on top of that here, but DC's still kind of lacking a bit if they want to be able to have that kind of stampeding 5-man that their draft was hoping to achieve, because you have lots from MP coming ready to oppose and be a big threat. It looks like the Dire Courier will be sniped down there. MSS tried to rotate in through the bottom lane. He is very close, scary close to having this Blink Dagger. And it's a Blink Dagger with a Vanguard that would already been built up. This is a ridiculously farmed Axe. We'll have to see if MP are going to be able to avoid
Dire's top
that
tower
Blink
is
debut
under
and all the
attack.
trouble that's going to be coming with it within the moments after.
Radiant's bottom tower
Yeah, at the
is
very
under
least,
attack.
DC's heroes don't
Dire's
destroy
top
themselves
tower
super
has
hard once he
fallen.
gets a blade melt. It's obviously not something you want to have to deal with a blink blood melt axe at 15 minutes with a Vanguard on top of it, which is kind of the timing we're looking at. If MSS's farm rate keeps up, it'll probably slow down a little bit after he gets the
Radiant's
blink
bottom
dagger.
tower
He'll probably
is
move
under
around looking for some
attack.
kills, but definitely a scary presence. But DC immediately moving to top lane as NP's pressuring bottom, and you can see this 5-man is just really hard to deal with.
It's ridiculous. They have everything here. The Forged Spirits, the Boars, the Skeletons, the Trolls, they're all here, and now they're all dead as MP rolls in, drops down the Starstorm. Leapfrogging up and above is going to be MSS connecting the call on from Moon. It's going to be forced to dish out the roar, and now Misery will be able to send him back and away from trouble here. But MP will clear out all the remaining clutter of creeps and try to maintain a bit of order here in the top lane.
Yeah, they get those couple of towers, so they give DC some space to move around the map. Won't be so constricted in as Doxa farming up down bottom, so giving him a little bit of space while they move around with the rest of the heroes. They're going to get the tier 1 mid as well, so DC, even in the position they're in, realizing MSS goes for that Vanguard, doesn't have the blink yet, and making advantage of that small window, getting these couple of towers, and now going to back off, realizing, hey, MSS has been off the map for a long time, probably has his blink now, and looking for some sort of a fight, which he is.
Still pretty impressive for MP with their early game to still hold somewhat of a lead based on the fact that DC have taken like 2 towers back-to-back in that top lane. Mid lane tier 1 was denied by Envy, but they still get a little bit extra money. Bottom lane, MSS jumps in for resolution, eats the stun there, gets a couple of spins. Fiend's Grip will be committed and secured. Well worth, as it is the precious core Venge resolution. Good little expedition for them. They'll take the birdie too and walk themselves on out. They came in here, they planted some wards and said that this DC jungle is now ours. But DC have already planted a couple of wards in the MP jungle and said that that one's theirs, so we're kind of back even again.
Yeah, and DC looking for anything they can find across the map, realizing the NP are just so strong at just 5-manning around the map right now. Their damage is extremely high, and DC now going to take this Roshan, so looking for whatever trades they can around the map. Going to lose the tier 2, but at least getting this Roshan. And not in the worst position ever, but definitely not the kind of situation you want to be. Venge, not typically a carry that's known for doing very well when she's behind.
Yeah, there is definitely some recovery she needs to do here. It looks like her Helm of the Dominator is just about done, plus probably did one other big purchase there, it looks like. Maybe no club en route here. Now, I'm not sure if they saw Owie go into his metamorphosis there. I would figure that if they did, maybe they'd be considering trying to push forward and take fights while it's down. But what do you think they would want to do with this Aegis here? Obviously, there's a couple more towers for them to grab. Some require them running down through the scary bottom lane and pushing forward for this tier 1. But what do you think overall DC should look to do with the timing of this Aegis?
I think they wanna smoke up, which they are doing, and look for some sort of a pick off, look for a small skirmish, and any opportunity they can find where NP's overextended a little bit, and this really this nice ward from DC does spot them moving backwards out of the jungle. So gonna try and catch them here. They have the Hawk coming in from Moon and the Roar online. MSS may get caught.
Quick blink. MSS creates more space from himself and the rest of the team, and he's going to be gone. Aoi also TP's out. SVG also going to be good. This smoke approach from DC is going to be coming up a bit short, and they'll just take their leave to the mid lane and remain in bottom to push it out a bit. But more time will be ticking here. MP go back to their grind of farm. It looks like MSS is just about on par with timing and getting that 15-minute blade mail. Rose up and above, looking to go for a Yules. He's got a lane to himself to kind of work with over here. And where is our Envy friend at? He's going right for the Ags. Now, at that point after, we've been seeing a mix of different type of Maranas. Arrow, not going to catch. But the spellcasting Marana moving forward and getting the E-Blade. Some even go as far as getting the Dagon build up. While others, you know, continue with the more fighting Marana. Is there something you would particularly like to see Envy go for in this game?
I think you may go for something like a Blink Lincolns. They have a lot of single target spells on DC. And just trying to survive through those initial jumps. We are actually getting gripped.
Fiend's gripped here from SVG. And as it concludes, he's going to be sent right back and bailed out by Misery. Now popping the Moonlight Shadow, MP pull off, and looks like that may be the end of it here. Oh, a good lead in, but unfortunately that will cost him a cooldown. Misery simply hits one button and it's over.
Yeah, DC really want to just try and get at these lanes as far as possible, split the map and look for pickoffs until they get to that point where they can take these 5N fights where their, you know, their physical damage is strong enough to bring down some of these heroes. As NP really hard to bring down at this point, as DC are considerably far behind. But it's kind of hard to push out these lanes whenever you've lost all these towers, losing the tier 2 bottom. At the very least, they are holding on to this tier 1 mid, so have some semblance of map control as Weehaw continues to farm up, sitting at the top of the net worth, hovering around there with the Marana. So you can see Doxa just trying to work up towards that Blink Dagger. 200 away now at 16 minutes, so not the worst timing in the world considering the start he had. And with that, they may be able to get a few more pickoffs.
As we see here, Envy stalking him a bit with this Invis rune. Would be a shame if he heads to the lane and then was to get hit, but looks like Envy is not going to be able to get the mark there as his rune does expire. So things should be nice for Soxa to be able to coast into getting that Blink Dagger for the sake of DC. But DC are also not going to be able to get much out of that Aegis, it looks like. I mean, it's enough to kind of, you know, force NP from not being too aggressive and poaching onto DC turf. But as far as kind of advancing their own game, moving forward with objectives or taking any sort of picks, didn't seem like they were able to get too much. So they take the time instead to farm. I know Resolution certainly would love to get some recovery here. He's sitting pretty still low on this net worth. Moon even still just a little bit ahead of him. So he's got a journey ahead of him here.
Yeah, not too far behind AOI though at the very least. Sort of what happens whenever you get these aggro try situations. Both carriers a lot of times will come out behind compared to what they would have had in the safe lane, unless, you know, one side gets a whole lot of kills, which really didn't happen. They sort of just traded farm and you kind of both just get less farm.
They're running for Resolution, and he is just so far and away. Without that tier 2 standing, it feels like nobody can become close and aid. So MSS is going to be able to jump on forward, get the initiation, and finish it off with a dunk at the end. Another grab for MP here. And them just showing that as soon as the Aegis expires, they're not afraid to kind of get back into making fisticuffs.
Yeah, Weehaw working towards the Aghanims, 1k away at this point. So that'll bolster their team fighting a little bit, but they still really need to get the jump to take these fights. If they aren't jumping and bursting one hero, then their damage is sort of limited. They have a whole lot of single target, a lot of blow one hero up, and then we go in, we go out, we blow another hero up, until Invoker is extremely farmed, and then they can sort of, you know, do whatever they want, play map control. But they're still, oh, there he goes, pinging the
Light
shrine.
of Heaven, are you for real? Every game. Top lane, jumping from MSS. The call is out for Weehaw. He's like the remaining X Factor for this team. He goes for the Ghost Walk TP, but MSS is a Spin Lord! He's a freaking Spin Lord, man! The creeps, of course, were all there, providing with the most chances possible, but, I mean, come on. Blended up now, Weehaw just waits in the afterlife. This is going to be a hard shot for DC. MP come together now and could consider going more into DC turf. Those wards they had dropped down previously in the bottom lane have expired, so it's time to go out on a new adventure and kind of take map control back again.
Yeah, Moon in the meanwhile has picked up a gem. So DC trying to get the whatever vision advantage they can so they can push out these lanes a little bit better, look for those picks like we talked about before. And so I'm not sure if they timed out or if they cleared them out, but they do have back control back over their jungle as Moon. Moving down here, maybe looking to push it out with a couple other DC heroes heading down here. EE down here as well, so if he goes a little too far out, maybe he can go down as Moon pushes the lane out with the boar. Hawk scouting, and you spot him.
Just got that blink dagger, but he gets roared the second the bird flies over him. So it's a hard shot, but as mentioned, already got the blink dagger. So not going to be taking the biggest loss there, but still he is the top net worth in the game. And DC will be happy to take any sort of forgiving gold. Who got that last hit too? It was going to be Soxa, it looks like. And on the back of that, DC now walking down this bottom lane. It's time to get a tier 1. MP, let's see if they consider a defense. We have MSS on one side. We have SVG's Bane on the other. MSS decides to make the jump and the call. It's going to be holding Resolution in place long enough for the rotation in. Soxa will follow it up with a stun, but there's going to be the Fiend's Grip. And that's Resolution going out. Soxa will quickly flee, but, you know, Resolution supposed to be bringing in all that extra DPS for the team. It just feels like more weight is going to be put on the shoulders of Weehaw in this one.
Yeah, it's really hard for Avenge to be able to farm out these lanes whenever you've lost all your map control like that. A super immobile hero here that wants to be with their team and just take sort of, you know, in this 5-man position where you can walk down these towers, play as a unit, or have these, you know, these mobile cores with you. And you can see that's kind of what DC wanted to go for with the Beastmaster, the Slaughter. These heroes that can play with Avenge that buffer up and allow you to go with this 5-man, but their lanes just went so poorly. The Axe pick working, you know, wonders for NP so far. 4-0-3 on MSS with the Crimson Guard now as well, so massively going to mitigate DC's physical damage, which is, you know, almost all of their damage at this point, as Weehaw still most of his damage being physical as well, until he gets some more items up and gets more skill or points up into the Quest and Wax.
And that's to say he's able to kind of freely unload all of his damage on somebody. And whoever it is, it's going to be like one person, and then you got to hope that the supports from MP aren't there to kind of stifle you from doing it. And it's a lot to really look out for. Lesh could roll in with the stun, Bane to set to sleep. His Enfeeble may even be a problem later into the game, but we'll have to see. As mentioned before, it's on DC to kind of set up their fight with a good initiation so they can blow someone up right out of the gate. We just haven't seen any of those opportunities. It's always been MP moving in and taking the fight, with the exception of, you know, that jump on Envy, I'd say.
A tithe to the impurities.
Yeah, and DC really wants a lot more of that. You can see them all sort of moving as 5 now, really scared. As Envy comes down to this bottom lane again. This is the kind of stuff they need. Those leap away in time, so they won't be getting that kill there. And Misery does have the eggs now at the very least, so like we talked about, doing sort of that little style split pushing, shoving in mid with the Thunderhide and a couple of odd job creeps.
Yeah, he's like, where are my golems at? He's like, I want a golem for sure. Not one over in this ancient camp, unfortunately. Just more of those little dinosaurs. Nothing over here yet, but looking forward soon enough. Roche is up. MP go in with the arrow and get right to work. Nearby, Soxa has spotted out Rose, hits him with the crush. Rose will drop out the Euls here. His team looks to come to his aid. And it looks like DC might know what's happening here. Weehaw, look at his positioning. He is holding out. Will dish out the Tornado EMP combo onto Owie. Tries to Manta, but still will lose the mana. Not too much, holds a bit of it. Will be able to restore a lot of his blue bar. Stun on the mid lane as they look to get the jump onto Soxa here. Look at the Metamorph Illusions. Dunk. Not necessary. We'll be able to get the finish regardless. Up and above, waiting on the high ground is Moon there. He's got a blink and a roar, but no real good opening. Pretty much been the trick all game. MP will run back, hit the showers here, take out the ancient camp and get right back into action. There's a Roche that's still standing. They want this Aegis, and they know now a man down. Bringing in all the amp damage is going to be too tough of a fight for DC, but DC might be in a, like, I don't know, do or die situation, knowing that if MP take this Roche, it could be as good as the game. So they are really here trying to contest it. Putting the Golem inside. MP also not really committed. Walk themselves out from the pit.
Yeah, they know DC is holding this hill, but it's very, very hard for them to contest. They don't really have a vision hero of their own. The Beastmaster constantly scouting around with Hawks, looking for the jump wherever it can be found, but MSS hasn't popped the Crimson Guard yet, so as long as he isn't the one getting instantly blown up, he can always pop that, and it's very hard for DC to bring down any of the other heroes.
Oh man, they slowly smoke and creep in. They're going to be able to get the jump blink. Asleep is there though. The follow-up crush. A meatball above. Goes for the Sunder and gets it under resolution. That will lead to the quick dunk and finish. And a good hot start for MP. Hit up with a nice tornado set though. Misery waits, backs, looks to send Saksa back home. Should be able to do so and will. But now he's waiting, snoozing, and now dead. MP quickly rock out too, and that was the opening that they could have asked for. To move in and get the finish on the Roche. A nice little approach from DC, but good quick reactions from MP get the turnaround play.
Yeah, I think the sleep actually like dodged the Venge Stun, or it mitigated some of the damage, so it was able to buy some time. We have throwing the tornado in. Aoi almost going down. Sleep again. Airball, some Sunstrike, maybe, but
They were able to get the chase for Saksa, and back in the pit once more. And we, not too much mana though. So this will be a Roche for MP. MP got to be feeling so good at this point in time. Their team overall has a 6K plus net worth advantage. 3 of their cores sitting at the top. Only Weehaw ahead of them. The rest of DC, unfortunately, a bit suffering. And this is MP pushing in for what feels like forever since they've been able to make it all the way to the back end of a qualifier and actually qualify for the LAN. Are they finally going to do it? Will the anime story begin? It's seeming so.
yeah, we'll have to see. You can, sort of like the story from last series. Rose actually above the net worth of Resolution, or was just a second ago where those creeps died. So right around neck and neck, and that sort of tells you kind of the dire situation that DC's in. They picked this Evoker to be more of like the late game farmer, and he is very, very farmed at top of the net worth. But whenever your other core is that poor, it kind of gives you some issues unless, like we talked about, you're blowing up a hero at the start of the fight, and that's what it all comes down to. If they aren't getting that initial jump, then it's very, very hard for them to do much.
Top lane roar into Envy. Chance for DC to get a good pick. Can they kill him twice though? Weehaw drops the cold wall and says, no, we're just going to do that. And they run away. Happy to get the snipe of the Aegis though. That means that MP can't just kind of hold that over their heads for any longer. And
yeah,
now DC can go back into maybe trying to find that unique, quick approach, but we'll just have to see if MP are going to allow those kind of openings or not. They're back inside their jungle farming up. They have the net worth overall still, but here they come. Smoke down this mid lane. Misery will be able to send back his creeps just in good time. But are they going to be able to get the catch? Look who's hanging out nearby. It's Saksa, but he's swimming his way all the way through the bottom lane. Doesn't look like MP are going to be able to find anybody at that point. So kind of a question I posed in the previous game at MP now. Where do you go from here? They just lost their Aegis. Do you just go for the siege? Do you look to take the fight to yourself? May have the answer actually before me as they metamorph and go for the tier 2. Is it all the way forward and into the high ground though?
I don't think they go for the high ground. I think they just sort of play around. They don't overextend too much and look for whatever towers they can. Trying to stay as grouped up as possible so they don't give up too many picks. And yeah, they want to avoid something like this where Aoi gets swapped in as Saksa.
He gets swapped. Saksa though tried to go for a nice little jump onto MSS to take him out of the fight, but nearby was SVG, puts him to sleep, and it's going to be MP rolling forward with this fight. 2 already going down. The Misery creeps trying to make it back inside, still eating a lot of harassment here. And now the preemptive Ice Wall going to get dropped. NP are coming, and they're looking to qualify. The tier 3 begins to siege out from some of the illusions of Aoi, but MP not able to force out any buybacks yet from DC here, and they may just end up backing if they're going to just respawn. It looks like that'll be the case.
Yep, Metamorphosis is cooldown now, but has the Lincolns up on AOI, so limiting a lot of that pickup potential. Is you can see E going for one as well, like we talked about. So just a little bit of gold off. After this wave, we'll almost have it. Sells his bottle or whatever. We'll have it completed, and then with that, it'll take at least 2 DC heroes to bring down anyone really from NP. And these pushes are going to be super hard, as whenever you can't roar either of the cores, MSS is never going to be envisioned, and roaring these supports isn't the greatest either, because the Axe can always be counter-initiating, or the Potom won't saving. Once they have these completed, it's really going to limit the ways that DC can take a fight.
DC pick up and run right up towards the top lane here, looking to infiltrate NP neighborhood. Saksa led it in with a nice early ward, but now they start pushing their way through the top lane. I don't know if they're seeing if they can beat out Weeha or something, but they have got MP a bit curious. They are now attending to the top lane here. Rolling forward though, look at this. Rose and Envy cross paths here with a couple of creeps, a couple of dominated creeps here. And I guess DC are not going to be looking to press their luck in this top lane. Once they see plenty of NP around, they are going to get the hell out. It's a very scary situation for DC. I mean, another bad fight could end up leading to Rax going down. So this is, they want to make sure that if they get the approach on NP, it's a one that's going to be a win.
Yep, so you can see E just leaping in with no fear now that he has the Aegis. Didn't even have leap up whenever he jumped in, but as you say that, gets roared up after his Lincolns got broken, but had to use the cold snap to do it, and then just simply leaps away. So the roar and cooldown now, not the biggest of deals. Is it's kind of hard for MP to just run down a lane.
Yeah.
Roar not really the thing stopping them from doing that. Just want to take their time and look for the perfect opportunity, as they know how far they are ahead and how farmed their Terrorblade is compared to the Venge. So MP just gonna take their time. MSS picking up a BKB now as well.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, he's gross. Still pretty high in the net worth. He had the biggest success in the early game to lead him to this point, and now they're looking to take everything that they've built up and run it down this mid lane and qualify for a LAN. DC need to muster up whatever they got in defense, install tactics, whatever you got to keep this alive and push it to a game 3. But here he comes, the mighty metamorphed Terrorblade begins to go to work. Saksa will step in trying to slow it down with a bit of a crush, but the siege is on. This tier 3 is going to get dropped. And now the work goes on to the Rax here. MP going to be doing the first significant base damage, another follow-up stun. This time Saksa will get hit with the Euls. The follow-up stun's there. He does get scooted. Envy jumps in, hits him with the Starstorm. Roar's going to be coming out. It's going to get connection onto SVG. Looking to go for the burst. Crimson Card going to get popped out from MSS, and MP will back up and regroup here under the Moonlight Shadow. Damage done though, tier 3 out, Rax down. MP very satisfied with that, just kind of going down the agenda.
Yeah, Weeha was picking up the soul booster from the secret shop, so it wasn't there whenever they initially pushed in, so it gave Aoi some time to just pummel in those right clicks, and now using the Metamorphosis to perfect effect, they get the Rax and they just back on out. You can see Misery actually picking up a Dagon, so realizing that, hey, we really have to burst the Terrorblade or this Axe or Mirana or whoever, otherwise it's just almost impossible for us to take these team fights. So playing more into that narrative, that style that they drafted, and it just didn't work out early on.
Oh, nice little jump there. They got to pick on the Rose in the top lane between Saksa and Wii.
Dire's middle tower.
It's just a Lesh support who does have a buyback, but DC are looking to force it out. They're looking to just pretty much do what MP did to them in the previous game. It's time to go in on the mid lane. MP just throws himself into the army, drops down the Starstorm, does some significant work, and leaps back out. MSS will go in there next. Finds Resolution, just slashes right through him and dunks him down and home. Resolution's going to be out of this one. Buyback, but DC now crippled in a bit of the damage department. Weeha, though, looking to unleash on for Aoi. Lincoln's going to be popped. Envy eating a lot of damage. Re-engagement. Good crush there from Saksa, but again, no damage. No follow-up. DC's throwing pillows at this point. Saksa's inside. Gets hit with the Starstorm. Drops down the crush. He's a fish man on the run here. A fishy fugitive. We're going to TP out. And he's gone. They make it away, but that was DC's almost like barbaric run down mid lane, knowing they needed this. And really, they walk away not getting a lot except losing resolution.
Yeah, maybe just hoping that maybe MSS whiffs his call, or they're able to kite around a little bit while this Leshrac is down and take some buildings off. But they have to go for these risky plays. They don't lose the most. Resolution going down another time doesn't really change that much, as there's almost no way he can fire off the 2k gold he needs for a BKB, and even if he does get that, it doesn't really change how they fight or anything really at all. So I don't think they're too sad about Resolution going down there, but they are definitely sad about the current state of the game.
Should we take a look at our fancy little line graph here? You can see 15k of a net worth advantage for MP at this moment. Same goes for XP. Almost getting closer to insurmountable kind of advantage here for MP right now at this state in the game. And it looks like they are going to be weighing it out for the next Roche in hopes of having that extra life as a security to be able to close this one out. It is a longer timer than I'm sure they would like to see, but it is going to cost them another 2 minutes before they can even move in there and get things started. Close arrow there for Saksa. Is able to blink out just before the attack connects and finds his way out from what could have been potential trouble. MP are on the prowl though. Watch out.
Yeah, does have the Scotty now completed on the Terrorblade as well, so further building that tankiness and further building the DC's impending issue of, we saw it a little bit before of what happens whenever NP walks up to the high ground with an Aegis or with a pickoff. Or with a, key spell down, and they just start hitting your buildings, and as of now, DC just doesn't really have an answer. They need to find some key pickoff splitter on the map, but NP is not giving them that, as they are kind of getting split pushed, so it's hard for them to actually get these lanes up, but they don't care too much whenever they're doing it. But DC's getting these lanes out, they're farming, but what is that farm actually leading to? And not too much as of now. Find an arcane rune or the Terrorblade maybe, so gonna be able to pop the Metamorphosis and have it up pretty quickly. It's actually pretty huge, as well as more illusions for this push. They may actually try and take bottom racks off of this.
Looks like they're picking out the bottom lane though. The push coming in from Wii and Misery's Dragon Army is something that will have to be taken care of here. Looks like Envy will be there to kind of help out in that front. But yeah, overall, we could see NP then rendezvous and utilize the most out of this arcane rune that Aui's been able to pick up. Shrine's going to go down. 1 of 2. And now MP just kind of going through the motions here. Moon pushing out the top lane. Oh, look at this play. Moon suddenly inside the Roche. And they are actually going to be able to do it here. Oh, unless these illusions come in. They come in, they TP to the Shrine. They might be able to get there.
Fast enough.
They're TPing to the Shrine already. I think they're already here. Yeah. Oh, Metamorphosis. MP's like, don't even think about it. This is our Roche. Thank you for starting it, but we're going to look to finish it. Moon on the high ground. That's a gem. It doesn't look like they see it's up there, but this is going to be a Roche for MP, an Aegis in hand. Moon does have a buyback, and we'll have a roar for it. Oh, Rose was not able to force to the... I don't know if he was trying to make it to the high ground, but maybe he knows there's a gem up there. Would be a nice grab.
Yeah, and a really nice attempt from DC. That's one of the few things they could do to stall this game out longer, is try and steal that Roshan and delay NP's impending high ground push, but it doesn't work out. Sniff it out, and they stop from happening. They're going to catch Wii now as well, so even without the Metamorphosis, it is on cooldown, they may just sort of march towards the high ground and try and force a buyback from the Invoker.
Big pick right there at what looked like it started as an attempt to get the jump from Saksa onto NP side. EE rolls in with a nice arrow and gets the connection. Moon looking to cut off Rose here with a nice little roar. We'll reward them with the bursted takedown on the support, but now Aui rolls in from behind, looking to cut off Moon here. Envy will be able to show up and gets the finish right there. Killing spree for Aui, 6-19. Things still on the up and up with this takedown, and with still Invoker on the sidelines, maybe they will continue to roll in. With back-to-back takedowns onto Moon, he also does not have a buyback now, and he also will not have the roar. Let's see how much NP turn it up here. to try to get closure in this game, what could be the last game.
Yep. AOI is gonna have the butterfly as well. Actually has the full thing completed, and they're looking to end the game right here, right now. None of their lanes really being pushed that much. You can see Misery and Saksa furiously storming towards this bottom lane, trying to get some pressure down in this bottom lane.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
DE has picked up the bots, and they're gonna maybe look for a pickoff here in the meanwhile.
They pop the Moonlight Shadow, and they blink right in. They spot out Misery. He's gone.
Radiant's top tower
He
has
does have a
fallen.
buyback. But MP are just hunting like sharks here into every lane and eating the DC bait for now. Looks like Resolution will be behind to continue to keep the pressure off on some of these lanes, but
Radiant's top tower
Saksa jumps in. They are able to pop out the Lincolns with the amp, but as the roar comes out from Moon, a wild MSS Axa shows up in all of his golden glory and just starts spinning his way violently right through Moon. And they're going to be looking for Saksa too here. He's able to get forced back, tries to hide within the trees, looks to go for a TP, but no, sir, you will also get dunked on. And that's going to be Saksa out, no buyback for just about a minute. Him and Moon not here for the defense.
bottom tower.
What could be the final hurrah? Look at MP go, man. Metamorphosis, they're going in for the tier 3. This is not set to stand. They're working in for another Rax here onto DC.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
And DC need to find a way to line up a shot or any sort of defense, and it doesn't look like they can. These Racks are gone just like that. MP are on the verge of finally taking a qualifier over DC and securing a trip here to China and to compete at the DAC LAN.
Yeah, they coming into a series that we thought was slightly DC favor, but like you said, NP in a really good position right now. His Resolution almost going down.
He has to go back, has to tag the Shrine here, but they are going to be able to get it done. Good game calls out. MP have done it in a 2-0 of a best-of-3 final.
Under attack.
Have bested Digital Chaos. NP, man, they did their run. They started out this playoff run in the first round going against Digital Chaos, dropping that series 0-2, and then they had to fight their way back, taking out Onyx 2-0, moving on, taking out Complexity as we saw earlier today 2-0, and now they 2-0 Digital Chaos in the final. These guys get knocked down, and they just fight their way back all the way through and have now qualified. What a really impressive run from MP.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So they qualify for DAC now. One of the bigger tournaments that goes on. There's like the majors, there's TI, and there's like DAC is typically what people consider like the next tournament down. So I'm sure NP is really hyped about that, and really just great play from all 4 of the games today from them.
That is going to be wrapping things up for us today. It's been a long day of some more Dota. We saw earlier, Complexity and MP duke it out for the lower bracket final. Complexity coming up a bit short. We'll look forward to seeing more from them. And probably the future Kiev qualifier. Digital Chaos come to play, but MP were already warmed up and look so good. CCNC, we're done for now. And this qualifier is done. I don't even know the next time I'm going to be doing too much casting. So before we let you go, do you have any final thoughts?
NP owns.
MP owns. No shout out to Mr. Dong.
Shout out to Eric Dong.
Shout out to Eric Dong. One day he'll be here, maybe. We'll see. But love the guy. Congratulations again to MP. Your anime journey has just started. We'll see if they're going to be able to fight their way all the way through DC, but they have beaten the first boss today. Congratulations again. Thank you again, CCNC. If you guys liked and appreciated his awesome analysis, go hit him up on his Twitter, CCNC Dota 2. Myself, you can hit me up on my Twitter at Dakota Cox. It had been a long journey going through Star Series qualifiers, America qualifiers, now into the DAC America qualifiers, but we have finally done it, and it is time to move on to a new project. But it's been an absolute pleasure going through this journey with you. Again, another congratulations to MP. They are now going to be heading off to DAC and competing at LAN. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your day. We'll try to get the VODs up. We'll get the rebroadcast going, but it's been an absolute pleasure. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Oh, for God's sakes, why is this texting just so bad? I'm just going to get rid of the whole back part. Yeah, exploit, you're terrible. All right, there we go. Congratulations again, Team MP. Thanks, guys. I'll give you some music here as we roll one last little ad. But take care.